Yes, y'all looking good out here. Sarah Gordo. That's awesome. We still got people popping in. And we will get started in about 1 minute because we want to be mindful of your time. We have a fun packed agenda scheduled for y'all today, and we want to get you in and out so that you can get back to your lives, which I know is full of organizing and talking about this election. Just so you all know, if you have friends that are trying to get access to this program today, if they're unable to get into it, we are putting the YouTube link there as well, because we only have so much capacity for our family meeting, if you will, and everyone else can tap in via YouTube and chat and engage with us there. We just put the website in the chat. So if you've got friends who didn't quite get registered or can't get on, just go ahead and share it with them at this time. Hey, Jefferson County. So far, we've got about 675 folks in. Zach, you let me know when you feel like you've reached critical mass for the folks, getting them out of the waiting room.
We've only got 6 people left, so we're almost there.
Okay, cool beans. Hey, Lori, good to see you.
I think, Deeds, I think we're good to go.
All right, awesome. So, if you came to talk about the November 5th election and the fact that Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, is now our nominee, and we've got 92 days to talk about how we win this election, you are in the right room. You are in the right room. I'm super, super excited for us being able to connect with each and every one of you all today. This call really came based on energy and inertia that we were feeling. There's a few of us that got together to plan this call simply because we were hearing so many individuals talk to us about how eager they were to get involved and what could they do and how could they help. And so major shout out to Senator Zach Walz, CJ Peterson, Morgan Miller, Maisie Stillwell and Ross Wilborn, and then our party fave right now, Zach Mounier, for really helping us get all of you all together. We really pulled this together in less than a week. And so if anybody ever says that Iowans don't know how to organize, they done lost their natural mind, because we can organize our way into and out of anything. Today, folks, we are going to talk about how you can actually get involved. And I want to get started on this program because we have an incredible program ahead of us. And so I won't start with anything more than going to Zach so he can talk to us about fundraising, because we know that campaigns take a little bit of money, and we have an opportunity to raise a little bit of money, not only for the next president of the United States, but also to fund organizing efforts right here in the state. Zach, take it away.
Right. There we go. All right. Hey, thank you so much, Deidre. It is awesome to see so many Iowans from all over the state. We have folks from all 4 congressional districts here. I don't know how exactly many counties we have, but I would not be surprised if we have close to all 99. We have over 700 Iowans live and climbing, and we're really excited to be raising money tonight to be benefiting the work that is happening right here on the ground here in Iowa, as well as raising funds to support Vice President Harris and the Harris Victory Fund. We set what we thought was a very ambitious goal of raising $10,000 during this Zoom. And when we started telling people that that's what we were trying to do, people started donating ahead of time. So we're actually already up to over 27% of our goal, $12,756 raised. If you haven't made a contribution yet to the Iowa Democratic Coordinated Campaign or to the Harris Victory Fund, this is a great time. If you, like me, have already made contributions, this is a great time to give again. We would love to send a very clear message that the people of Iowa, we have all fallen out of coconut trees. We are thrilled to be supporting Kamala Harris for President of the United States, and we cannot wait to make sure that she has a governing partner in Hakeem Jeffries, that we're flipping the U.S. House of Representatives, and that we are sending her to Washington, D.C. with a very strong Democratic trifecta to deliver for the American people. So if you haven't already, please make sure to chip in a couple bucks now. We're going to go ahead and post the link in the chat, but if you want to go ahead and pull it up, you can go to iowaforharris.com. Our Act Blue link is right there. You can also sign up to volunteer. So if you haven't already, please chip in a couple bucks to this fundraiser to try and raise funds for our coordinated campaign, as well as for Vice President Harris. Sign up to volunteer. We'll be checking in throughout the night with a couple updates in terms of how things are going, but really appreciate everybody being on the call tonight. We're so excited. Let's go do this thing. Deidre, right back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. So many of you all have asked the question, are we going to have a campaign office here? Is there going to be a presence with the national campaign in the state of Iowa? Are we going to be a battleground state? I can't answer any of those questions in the affirmative. But what I can answer, as I said earlier, is that nobody can out-organize us. We have a number of county offices positioned all over the state. We have a headquarters in the state. We have houses, we have sidewalks, we have churches, we have all types of places where we know how to organize and we know how to get engaged. No one gave us permission to do this phone call today. We did it because it was necessary. No one has to give us permission to win this election this year. We will do it because it's necessary. It may not look as it's looked in the past, but it doesn't necessarily have to. As long as we stand alongside of each other, banded shoulder to shoulder, ain't nothing that can touch us. And so don't be turned back by the unusual, the uncertainty, or the unordinary. Lean into what you know as Iowa Democrats, and let's get this election going. But before we get real deep into the why, I want CJ to set the tone for us. So CJ is a part of a number of organizations, including having a tremendous investment in our party through Stonewall and so many other things. But he's also the DNC whip for the Iowa delegation. And CJ had an extraordinary experience that I want him to share with you all, because I don't know what you were doing on Sunday at 1:45, but it was a lot going on in my head. And I'm sure it was a lot going on in his head. So CJ, tell us what happened.
Thank you very much, Deidre. So first of all, I want to say one thing before I talk about Kamala Harris. I just want to say giving up power willingly after a lifetime of service is a stunning act of selflessness and patriotism. And I want to say thank you one more time to President Joe Biden for passing the torch to the next generation of Americans. And that defect in character from Donald Trump is another reason why you should never be allowed back in the Oval Office again. That being said, when President Biden made that decision to pass the torch to the new generation, the moment that we as delegates decided to come together, we immediately took action, knew that we had to make a decision. We were all elected as Biden delegates, but we knew that we had to make a decision. And the moment we unanimously voted to unite behind Vice President Harris felt historic to me, because not only were we doing something we had no obligation to do, right? We could vote for anyone that we wanted to, but it was unprecedented in modern history. So never before has our party come together around a nominee for president so quickly and so steadfastly. And so it's a testament to the vice president's ability to bring people together and the work that she's done as part of the Biden-Harris administration over the last 4 years. And so it's so important, I believe, for us to speak with one voice, especially when the forces of division are trying so hard to tear us apart. We have people that are going to attack the vice president's character, her qualifications. It's important that we don't give in to that. And as the vice president tells us, the only way we lose this is if we stand alone. And so we have to be willing to fight for what we believe in. And folks, when we fight and we stand together, we will win. I'm with Kamala Harris because of her life experience, her resume, her record of accomplishments, and that all has prepared her for this moment. There's no one in this moment more prepared to take the fight to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance than Vice President Harris. She's spent her life taking on criminals, abusers, liars, and cheaters. She knows Donald Trump's type, and that's why you see our party and the country coming together, organized and standing with her, and energized and excited for the possibility that she brings to the table. So with that, let's get this party started tonight. Thank you all for joining.
Awesome. Thank you, CJ. And we're going to be giving you all the good vibes this month as you prepare to go to Chicago to represent the best of who we are. We so appreciate your service. All right, next. Y'all know these people. There are no strangers to anyone. In fact, the moment we got into the Zoom meeting to do a test, they requested that even if no one else had the authority to unmute themselves, they should have the authority to unmute themselves. You know her as a teacher and one of our favorite party chairs, and you know him as one of America's great state senators, the infamous Bob and Sue Dvorsky. Thank y'all for joining us today.
There. Good. I thought for a minute Zach Manier was going to just keep us out. First of all, Zach Walls laughs. First of all,
couldn't if I tried to.
Thank you to everybody that's on this call. Thank you to the organizers of this call. And thank you especially. So I used to have that job in that office with Zach Manier and Rita, and special thanks to every single one of the county chairs on this call. Your job was always been tough and always been hard, and God knows it's harder and tougher now. So they asked us to talk, when you're in the olds, then you get to talk about the legacy and the history. Let's just say this. When Kamala Harris first came here, she came here in 2007 for her buddy, Barack Obama. And weren't we just the hot item then? Weren't we just all that and a bag of chips? And everybody was coming, and we've been in a series of incredible primary campaigns, and we were something. And her big concern was she didn't have a coat, okay? Flash forward to 2019. She comes back because now she knows a little something about us. But in 2019, when we met our good friend, Brother Bakari and Ross and I and Deidre and all kind of people, we were a little different then. Things were changing, and they weren't changing to the good. It felt a little frayed. And now sometimes I'm afraid that it's hard for us to remember and access our muscle memory about who we are, not who we were, who we are. We are the state that in its very first act of the territorial assembly went to the Supreme Court in Ray Ralph and made sure that an enslaved person who got into our territory was not going to be sent back. We were the state in the big map of the country who had blue states on the West Coast and blue states on the East Coast, and right smack there in the middle, we were the state that said you can marry who you love because that's what we think should be the case. We were the state that made sure that all kids could go to school together years, decades before Brown versus the board. We are still that state. She has offered up herself in a way, the reason that we loved her when we first met her, she is so full of joy. She is so genuine. She is so completely herself. She's bringing that back to us. And we have a chance here to remember who it is that we are. We can show each other, we can show our neighbors, and we can show her that we are here, we are ready, we don't need permission to lead, and we are behind her and whoever it is, 100%. And in doing that, we're going to help ourselves. So here we go. Love you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Sue. And look, you did it in 2 minutes. I love the history, Sue. I love the history. You did it just for me, didn't you? But you did it for everybody because it's so important to remind us ourselves of what we're capable I often tell people I moved to this state because when I first came here, I whiffed a breath of air and I figured out what freedom actually felt like just through my experiences here alone in this state. We are a figurative monument of freedom, and nobody gets to take that away from us. I know folks been taking down monuments across the state, across the country, but we didn't have to take down our freedom monument. That's something that belongs to us, and it can always stick with us, and nobody gets to change who we are. That's so important. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Sue. Now we have two guests from the Harris campaign, Trey Baker and Sergio Gonzalez. They are both national senior advisors for the campaign and are doing incredible work. Some of both of them, you might have seen back in the day when we were doing this work, but they stay busy. Sergio is going to give us just a really quick landscape of what our path looks like, especially as it relates to connecting with our coalitions, which our state is so great at doing. Thank you, Sergio, for joining us. We are going to unmute you real quick.
Hi, good to see everyone tonight. Sergio
Hi,
Gonzalez, and I'm the Vice President's Campaign Deputy Chief of Staff. And I just want to, first of all, Deidre, thank you so much for inviting me tonight. And, I started working with the Vice President when she was elected to the Senate back in 2017. And I know that, Deidre, you've also been on this journey for a while as well, and having her back. And I know a lot of people on this call have. So, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has supported our vice president and who has actively engaged with our party and who also has had the back of our President Joe Biden. We know this has been an incredible journey, and that it is so wonderful to see the kind of energy and enthusiasm and support for the vice president in Iowa and across the country. And that is, something that we're seeing in conversations that we're having with our neighbors, with our friends, with our family members. I think we all have these anecdotal stories right now of people who are tuning into this election, who are excited to get involved. A lot of people for the first time, the sense of hope, the sense of energy and optimism that the vice president is creating in Iowa and across our country. I think that is emblematic of who our vice president is, that she has been a fighter for the people, that she has been a fighter for communities her entire life, right? She started her career as a prosecutor to protect women and girls, prosecuting cases of sexual assault and domestic violence. And of course, when she was Attorney General, she took on big banks. She took on for-profit schools that were scamming its students. And then as a senator, of course, remember those hearings where she took on the Trump administration as they tried to strip away people's freedom and their rights, when she questioned Supreme Court judges around reproductive freedom. And then as vice president, she has continued to champion issues such as healthcare and expanding the ACA. She has taken on issues like support for small businesses. She's taken on issues like creating jobs and lowering the cost of prescription drugs and insulin in partnership with our president. Truly historic work to expand economic opportunity for everyone. And now as our nominee for president of the United States in this election, who better to prosecute the case against Donald Trump than Kamala Harris? Truly, in this moment of history, right? And she is presenting a future-looking campaign, right? It is a campaign that is about the future, not the past. It's a campaign that's about our fundamental freedom and our rights, reproductive freedom, the freedom from gun violence, the freedom to love who you love and be who you are, the freedom to live your best life, the freedom of every child to get ahead. That is the future-leaning vision that she is offering for America. And it is creating absolute energy of voters everywhere. In July, this campaign, since she's become the nominee, raised over $300 million, $200 million in the first week alone. 2/3 of that money is from our grassroots donors, people who have not given to this campaign that are giving to this campaign. In the first week of her becoming the presumptive nominee, we signed up 170,000 people for volunteer shifts. 170,000. I'm just like, these are absolute proof points of the energy that I'm talking about. They're not just words, they're facts. And so what I would say to you is that we now have paths to victory because this vice president is creating this kind of energy among our base and our voters, including here in Iowa. And she is expanding the map for us because of the way she is energizing the coalition of voters that we need to win in November. You know, the vice president, when she was going to events, you know, and she's still going to events, would talk about, she'd say, I'm out here in these streets, because she has been out there. I think in the course of this year alone, she has done nearly 80 trips just in the course of this year. And many of these events have been focused on reproductive freedom, talking with women, talking with Black voters. She launched her economic opportunity tour earlier this year, focused on expanding opportunity. And then she also has been out there in Latino community. She's been out speaking she launched the AA-NHPI for Biden-Harris in July, and she's been engaging with AA-NHPI voters. I mean, we all know that this vice president has a record of talking with women voters, with Latino and Black voters, AAPI voters, with LGBTQ voters. There was a Zoom that White Dudes for Harris, it was an organic Zoom that many people participated in, like tens of thousands of
Zach's
people.
nodding, Sergio, because he had a good time on it.
In this Zoom. And I say these things because, Deidre, you wanted me to talk about coalitions. The vice president has a history across her career of coalition building, of movement building. And that includes bringing coalitions together, right, in the fight for freedoms and opportunity. That is like literally how she has won every single office. Back when she was DA, it was about building a coalition to win. When she was Attorney General, State Senator, and then, of course, with the president in 2020. And now she is assembling and building that coalition that is going to take us to victory in November. So what we need to do right now is we need your support, because we need to continue to translate this enthusiasm and this energy to actual voter engagement and voter mobilization come when people vote. And people vote soon. They're voting in September. That's when people get their first ballots across and then across there, everybody's going to start getting ballots. So we need your help to continue to tell the story about who Kamala Harris is, to make sure that we're getting her message out there, and that we are doing it directly with voters. And we make sure that we do that every single day from now until the election. So I just want to thank you for everything that you've done to support her, everything you're going to do. And thank you, Deidre, for everything you've done to support our vice president over these years.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Sergio. And before I segue to you, Trey, Zach, we've got an announcement on fundraising. What's the word?
Boy, do we. So we had a $10,000 goal for this entire call, and we did it in 15 minutes. So first of all, huge round of applause for everybody who chipped in tonight. Thank you all so much. This is absolutely incredible. Act Blue automatically kicked it up to 15,000 because that's how Act Blue works. But I said, I think that we can do better. I think that we can do $20,000 tonight. So we have 782 people on this call, and we have about $4,000 left to raise to get us to that $20,000 goal. 4,000 divided by 800 is not very much. So please, if you haven't already made a contribution, this is the perfect time to chip in $15, $20, $25. Every single contribution makes a difference. A lot of folks in the chat are also asking, hey, I've already made a contribution. What else can I do? If you haven't already, please go to our website, iowaforharris.com. There's a big volunteer button. You can't miss it. Sign up to volunteer, make a commitment to get out on the doors, talk to your neighbors, send some text messages, make some phone calls. All of those make a big difference, and we want you to sign up to volunteer. So if you haven't, Rob Johnson just said 47 for 47. I love that. I'm going to do $47 right now. Turn it back over to you, Deidre.
All right, appreciate you. It's not just fundraising, folks. We want you to have boots on the ground to help us engage voters in this process, because there's folks out there who are waiting literally to hear from you and give them a proper invitation to participate in this process. So we'll talk a little bit more about how we're going to connect you to your local elections and your county parties, because you all are good Iowa voters, and what y'all do is y'all ask questions and you want to know details. And so we'll get those to you soon. Trey. Thank you for joining us, sir. If anything, if you all know a lot about me, I'm originally from Jackson, Mississippi, and we've got a Mississippi man on the phone right here, and we're so glad that he's here to chat with us about some of the good work that's happening with the campaign.
Thank you so much, Deidre, to my fellow Mississippian. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on. I'll say this off top. Sergio is very good, because as I was going through what I was going to say in my head, my talking points, Sergio ticked every single last one of them off. So that he did a wonderful job. But I will say it is excellent to be here, because this is such a full circle moment. In the terms of the national conversation, Kamala Harris became a thing in the state of Iowa, right? Coming out there, running in 2019. Back in 2019, 2020, I was the national Black engagement director for Joe Biden for president. And so my first experience in Iowa was actually coming out to, I was sent out to an IHOP in Iowa to talk to a fellow named Rob Johnson, because Rob Johnson was one of the most influential pastors or faith leaders or community leaders, all of that in the state of Iowa. And so I was tabbed to go out and see if we could recruit Rob Johnson to come on to our campaign. And he spurned me initially and went and voted and supported Kamala Harris. So I will say on this call in front of everybody that Rob Johnson was one of the first Kamala Harris supporters that I knew, and that was right there in the state of Iowa. So we really appreciate you for everything you do. I also want to just show appreciation to you, Deidre, for the work that you do and for bringing this group together. I'm from Mississippi. Deidre's originally from Mississippi, and we're used to not necessarily being in the national conversation. But I think what in this case, especially Iowa has surprised us from time to time and jumped on over exactly where we need Iowa to be and done the thing. And so I wouldn't put that, out of your mind at all. But the other thing that can happen, though, is the resounding momentum that has started to build from Kamala Harris coming onto the ticket. The resounding momentum that ended up with 43,000 Black women coming onto a call and raising millions of dollars, 53,000 Black men coming to a call. Then everybody took off, and it was Latinas and Latinos for Harris, and then it was white guys for Harris. I'm going to be on a call tonight, win with the Black church. And so all of these coalitions are taking off organically and helping us very easily to do the work that has to be done. But what especially people in states that aren't necessarily considered to be battleground can do is help to keep the momentum and the narrative around the fact that this country is in favor of future-looking leaders. This country is in favor of people who preach hope instead of fear. You can keep pushing the momentum by saying that all across this country, whether you're in what's considered a blue wall state, or whether you're in a state across the Sun Belt, or whether you're in a state that's traditionally blue or red, Kamala Harris is resonating with voters across the country. And so what you do today, as we amplify what you do, your fundraising, the fact that you have so many people on this call tonight, helps with the momentum that we're going to have across the board. And so I want to encourage you to keep up the momentum, keep up what you're doing, keep focusing on how you can lift the message. So many of you had the experience of the Iowa caucuses where you had you actually met Kamala Harris, right? You have seen her, you know her record, and you can talk about her as a person. She is phenomenal. You never want to forget, and Sergio did a great job of talking about her background, her history, and what her goals will be and the policies that she'll take into the future. But we can't forget, she's the sitting vice president of the United States in a very successful Democratic administration with Joe Biden. And I appreciate the gentleman, I didn't catch his name, I was listening, who mentioned Joe Biden doing one of the most patriotic acts of all time and giving up power in order to move the party, move the country forward. We love Joe Biden and we appreciate what he did, but he had a governing partner this entire time named Kamala Harris, who broke more ties in the Senate than any other president of the Senate, any other vice president. And so when you start talking about the bipartisan infrastructure law, when you start talking about the CHIPS and Science Act, when you start talking about the Inflation Reduction Act, the American Rescue Plan, all these things that put money in pockets, put shots in arms when we were coming out of COVID, started to build back our infrastructure, all of that. She was the governing partner. She was right there in the room. Tonight, it's reported that she's right there in the Situation Room on an issue dealing with the Middle East. She is the most qualified person that we have to do this job. And we have to preach that. We know that she can do the work because she's already been doing it. So this is what I want to tell you as I close. You want to go to KamalaHarris.com. When you get to KamalaHarris.com, you want to go to Take Action. In the Take Action tab in KamalaHarris.com, you can get to a number of things that you can do. I brought them up right here. You can attend an event. You can host an event. You can share social media messaging. You can knock on doors. You can make calls to your neighbors. All of that is possible. And so what that'll do, that'll put you into our organizing component. That'll put you into our system at the Harris for President campaign, and you will immediately be reached out to by somebody in either one of the coalitions or otherwise on the campaign. And so that's something you can do in addition to the fundraising that y'all are doing tonight. Right now, go to KamalaHarris.com, go to Take Action, and we can put you into this system and help you to be a part of the program that we're running, because we know that it's about the future, and we know that when we fight, we win. And this is going to be a fight. And so we're going to need all of the soldiers that we have to be a part of it. So again, thank you for having me on. Look forward to all the work that we're going to do together in the country that we're going to continue to build with Kamala Harris as president.
Awesome. Trey, thank you so much. I know that y'all are running ragged, and this weekend was a very strenuous weekend. So I appreciate what you're doing and for taking time out to be a part of this. And we'll see you out here in these streets, okay? Yeah, you muted.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, no, we'll see you. We'll see you in these streets. I will say that we continue to have unprecedented weeks over and over again. And so at this point, we're going to keep doing unprecedented things, including electing a Black woman as the vice president or as the president of these United States. And I'm so happy to be passing it off to my good brother Bakari Sellers as he's coming on. I think we're chasing two calls.
Cool beans. Awesome. All right. We appreciate you. Bakari, before you pop on, I want to give you a proper introduction. But before we do that, Zach has another quick fundraising update for us.
$20,000 is in the rearview mirror, folks. Holy cow. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Act Blue kicked it automatically up to 25,000, but I thought that was ridiculous. Let's keep it running. Let's keep it going. But $20,000 raised, we more than doubled our goal tonight. Everybody, big round of applause. A huge amount of energy for our grassroots organizing and for Madam President Kamala Harris.
Absolutely. Keep in mind, half of those proceeds go directly to the Harris campaign and half of them stay right here in the state of Iowa. You know, we know in our state, we don't have the resources that we've had in the past, but these specific resources, IDP has committed to making sure that we're going to the populations and the precincts where we see underperformance, folks, where we know they're on our team. We know that if given a proper invitation to participate in the process, they will show up. And when I say underperformance, average turnout in our state in an election like this, 73%. And these precincts that we brought together across the state, average turnout is 49%. And so we've got a lot of room to make up to get more voters in the process, because we know that it's possible. Now, without further ado, we have a very, very, very special speaker who is no stranger to Iowa. If you're a member of the NAACP, you've been able to engage with him. If you were a part of the Kamala Harris team alpha mode, then you probably engaged with him. Bakari Sellers is an incredible individual who is insistent on changing our country in his own way. He's a former state representative, an attorney, author. He's got a book out, The Moment. So if you all haven't gotten it, I know you've got some points on Amazon that you can probably use. Go out and get his book. But more importantly, Bakari, I know you're a lot of things, but I just want to thank you for being a Kamala Harris supporter.
Well, thank you so much. I am from the big city of Denmark, South Carolina, where we have 3 whole stoplights and a blinking light. And my mom and dad always say the 2 most important words in the English language are the words thank you, and they're not nearly said enough. And so thank you to Deidre for your leadership. Thank you for all of you all who are, in the words of the great American poet, Sean Carter, also known as Jay-Z. You did not find it robbery to be with us tonight. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us. And so thank you so much. I apologize for my tardiness. I was just on with, actually Anderson Cooper was on vacation, but I was on with John Berman. And we were talking about Veep stakes and all of those things. I cannot break any news to you all tonight. I can just tell you that the Vice President of the United States will be a white male who is a governor. That is probably the best I can tell you right now.
Those are some good hints. Those are some good hints.
I think I'm 100 with all of y'all. Mark Kelly's my guy. I just feel like he is probably not one of the individuals that the vice president is still longer looking at to be her running mate. She's looking at individuals who can make a good governing partner and someone who can get her over the hump as president of the United States. But look, I'm here for a few reasons. I chose Kamala Harris back in 2020, and reporters have been asking me, because I was national co-chair for Kamala Harris in 2020, what happened. And I've been really honest with people. I say we screwed that thing completely up. And part of the reason I say that is because of the simple fact that the Kamala Harris that we all knew is not the Kamala Harris we allowed the country to see. And one of the things people are seeing every single day is who Kamala Harris really is. It's not just a joyful warrior, but it's somebody who is very precise with her words. It's somebody who can clearly articulate what she's going to do for you. It's somebody who can lean into her past as an attorney general or a district attorney. But even more importantly, I shared this on the call, and let me just tell you how this call started, and then I'll share my words with you all. On Sunday, and some of you all may have read about some of the work that we did prior to, but on Sunday, I think it was the 21st, when Joe Biden announced that he was going to no longer be running for president of the United States, things changed extremely quickly. And on that Sunday night, they had the Win with Black Women call, and I sent my good friend Quentin James a call, and I said, we need to do something around Black men, etc. And it was 4 of us who decided that we were going to put this call together nationwide. And from the 4 of us, it led to 53,000, and it led to $1.4 million. And it was just emblematic of the energy that was around the campaign that we were doing. But on that call, I shared with individuals about my story. I reminded folk that for me, my number one political issue is female mortality and reproductive rights. And people look at me and they ask the question, why? I mean, you're a Black guy from South Carolina. Why is that your number one issue? And I remind folk that when my twins were born on June 7th of 2019, how my wife nearly died during childbirth, how she began to hemorrhage and she lost 7 units of blood, and they believe a woman her size only had 9 units, and how she was able to persevere and make it through. It was 36 hours after my children were born before they were actually able to lay eyes on my wife. We had to take them up there in one of those little Tupperware dishes, the little round things that they do in the hospital where they shuttle the newborns back and forth. And then I reminded folk that at 10 months old, we were called that we were struggling with Sadie, who was my twin daughter, and she had been jaundiced and on the liver transplant waiting list for 93 days. And I recalled the story of how I remember we were getting her biopsy after she got her liver transplant, and the first person to call me was Kamala Harris. She called me. We were at the Washington Duke Hotel, and it was an amazing story because we were just laying in the bed that morning. It was complete darkness, and somebody was watching Stokely because he's pretty easy, and we had Sadie, who was laying in between us, who was the other twin, who's now 5.5 years old, but at that time she was not yet a year old. And Kamala called me. It was a private number, and she just asked how Sadie was doing. And it was those type of stories that you begin to hear, not just from me, but Andrea Campbell, who is now the Attorney General of the great state of Massachusetts, or Helena Moreno, who is on the city council in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, or even Deidre, or whomever it may be, who knows Kamala Harris not as Vice President of the United States, but knows her as a friend and a confidant who can tell you the type of person she is. And I dare not say, not because it's an indictment on him, but because I just haven't heard those stories, that Donald Trump has any of those same type of analogies. And there aren't many people who can say that he has been someone who has given so much to others. And so I've been able to diagnose the country's problems quite quickly. Our country's ill, and biggest ill is that we have an empathy deficit. We live in a country where people no longer care about the plight of others, where we don't care about children going to school without being fed, where we no longer care about the fact that they go to school where their heating and air don't work and their infrastructure is falling apart. We live in a country where we don't really care that women no longer have the opportunity to decide what they do with their own bodies, or men are not able to just choose whether or not they want to love another man or whomever it may be. We live in a country where we simply do not have that level of empathy, where we can ensure that people have that dignity of work, that they not only can work 40 hours, but they get paid a living wage for those 40 hours that they work, or that when they do work those 40 hours, that they're able to have access to quality health insurance. We no longer live in a country that has that level of empathy. We live in 140 letter sound bites on Twitter, and we live on Fox News or MSNBC, and some of you all might have just seen me on CNN, but we no longer live in a world or a country where we reach our hand out or put our shoulder to the wheel when we see our neighbors in the ditch. And so I think this election is quite simple. I think that this election is about whether or not we want to go back to a country that's filled with hate, or whether or not we want to look at a country that has a brighter tomorrow. And I love Trey, and I love everyone on this call who referred to Kamala Harris as the first Black president or the first Indian American president. But I want you all to realize that we can see that identity in her. We see her walking with that. But what you have to do in Iowa, and what we have to do in Michigan, and what we have to do in Wisconsin, I'll call it Wisconsin because T-Pain rhymed mansion with Wisconsin one time before, so I will always call it Wisconsin. What we have to do in Pennsylvania and Arizona, what we have to do in Georgia, and what we have to do in North Carolina is remind those voters who may not be moved by history what Kamala Harris will do for them. You know, everybody ain't voting for the first Black female president. Everybody ain't voting for the first South Asian president. And everybody ain't voting for that, right? People want to know how their plight can get better. And so what I would like to do is make sure that individuals in Iowa outside of Des Moines, right, go to those areas. Make sure you get outside of Des Moines and go to the rural areas of Wisconsin, and go to the rural areas of Pennsylvania, and go to the rural areas of Michigan, and make sure that people know that there's somebody out there that stands with them, right? Make sure there's somebody who knows that we don't want to get in between your family and your doctor and have Grassley and McConnell and Trump deciding what your wife and daughter does with their bodies. We want to make sure that they know what we will do for you. And that's the message I bring with you all today. That this campaign is about hope versus fear. We've lived in 6 years or 8 years, excuse me, of chaos and fear. Tucker Carlson and Harris Faulkner and all those individuals, and Clay Travis and Ben Shapiro, and the list goes on and on and on. They have just created this echo chamber of fear. And people are tired of it. I'll quote somebody who you all may or may not know, but her name is Fannie Lou Hamer. And Fannie Lou Hamer said, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." And I think most people, most Iowans, are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so my name is Bakari Sellers. I'm just a lonely and lowly former state representative. Let me tell you how old I am. When I first got elected, I was 21 years old. This was back before Deidre got started. This was back in 2006. And I worked with one of the greatest state legislators I'd ever met in my life. Y'all remember a man named Jeff Danielson?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all remember that name?
Mm-hmm.
in Iowa. He was a firefighter. He was like head of the Firefighters Association and all those good things. He was a state senator, I believe. But that's when I got started back in 2006. And I ran for office because I believed not in politics, but public service. And Kamala Harris makes my heart beat fast. And she makes my stomach kind of curl up. And she makes me want to go out there and knock on doors. And she makes me want to make the phone calls. And she makes me want to give $5 or $10 every time I can. And she makes me believe that it's not about whether or not you're in flyover country or you're white or black or whether or not you're Democrat or Republican. It's not about what this country was. It's not about what this country is. But Kamala reminds me of what this country can be. And so I want to say thank you for allowing me to spend 5 or 10 minutes with y'all. I love, love, love Iowa. I don't think Iowa gets the respect. I remember Iowa was a swing state. And we got to get it back to that. That means we got to fill it with hope. That means that y'all got to have people running for every seat in every county. It's 100 counties in Iowa.
99, almost.
Oh,
you remember closely.
I rounded up. Y'all need to have somebody run for dog catcher, county clerk, chief babysitter, litter patrol, chief of police, sheriff, vice mayor, everything. I want every single seat in all 99 counties filled. And I'll come out there and do my part. I'll knock on doors in every city outside of Des Moines. Now, I've only stayed in Des Moines, so I'm only going to stay there, but I'll come around to all the rest of the county and visit the rest of y'all. And so thank y'all so much for allowing me. Deidre, you know I love you so much. Can't wait to come back to your house.
Cool beans.
I can do for y'all, please let me know.
All right, we'll get you back here soon. Thank you so much, Picard. I know you're busy. You've probably got another call to get on because there's a lot tonight. But we thank you for being here with us tonight.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Cool beans. Awesome. Well, next we got a quick fundraising update, and then we're going to go to Josh. Josh, we're so excited to have you on this call tonight. Zach, you want to give us just a quick fundraising update, and then we'll get to Mr. Josh.
Deidre, we didn't need to set a $25,000 goal. You all are getting us almost all the way to $25,000, even without that as an official goal. We're at $24,086.47 to make Kamala Harris the 47th president of the United States. And with that, I'll get it over to President Josh Brown.
Awesome. Joshua, thank you so much for being on this call with us. You all probably know him already, but this issue is around education. He is a middle school teacher, been with DNPS, and now he is the ISCA president, and he has to hop soon. So that's why we bumped him up so he could be a part of this call today.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. Like I said, my name's Joshua Brown. I'm a middle school social studies and special education teacher, newly elected to serve as the president of the Iowa State Education Association. We represent over 50,000 public school educators and are a state affiliate of the National Education Association, representing over 3 million public education professionals nationwide. I just wanted to start today to acknowledge the Biden-Harris administration has been the most pro-public education, pro-labor administration of our lifetimes. And I want to thank President Biden for his lifetime of service to our country and for always having the backs of our educators and union workers. And we know that Vice President Harris is going to be continue that work with us. As Iowa's representative on the NEA's PAC Council, I am proud to share that our unanimous decision to endorse Kamala Harris for president reflects her long-standing commitment to public schools. We believe that Vice President Harris is the right choice to lead our country and ensure that all children, regardless of their neighborhood, have the education opportunities that they deserve. While in the U.S. Senate, Senator Harris received an A grade from the NEA based on her votes on key legislation ranging from education to labor law. She continued this support as vice president. Her pro-public education and labor track records are outstanding. She supports all students, no matter their race, their gender, their identity. She cast the tie-breaking vote on the American Rescue Plan, the largest investment in public education ever, which included wiping out more than $168 million of student debt. She opposes private school vouchers of any kind. She sponsored the Public Service Freedoms to Negotiation Act, which guarantees the rights of public employees to organize and collectively bargain in every state. She led the effort to increase access to affordable childcare and expand the child tax credit. Vice President Kamala Harris has been a friend of public education, workers, students, and our children her entire career. Supporting Harris and voting in this election for our pro-public education state house and Senate candidates will return Iowa to a state where we are respected and support education professionals. Stop the funding drain that the new private school voucher program has had on our tax dollars, and help us regain the bargaining and worker rights we have lost, which hurts Iowa families and communities. In addition, voting this year helps us build political muscle for next year's school board elections and helps us get pro-public education majority in the state house and the governor's office. We proudly support Vice President Harris and all of the pro-public education legislative candidates on this year's ballot. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Joshua, you knocked that out of the park. You know, so many folks have been in the chat asking the question, what has Kamala Harris done? What has the Biden administration done? And related to education, you just laid it out. And I know some of y'all have been asking, like typical Iowans, we need our talking points. Honey love, we're going to get you your talking points. We just wanted you to lean in this conversation today, but to add on to those talking points related to education, 1.3 billion, 1.3 billion. I'm going to say it one more time, 1.3 billion. That's how much this state has been impacted by 30,000 Iowans getting debt, student loan debt canceled. There's so much that this administration has done to the point where their accolades they seem normal at this point in time. And so it's important for us to lift up these things and really understand the impact that they've made, because a lot of the impact that they made, Joshua, as you know, has been undoing what the previous administration did. And that was a lot of work in itself, right? We so appreciate you. Thank you for popping on. And we'll see you out here in these streets too, Joshua. We'll see you out here too. Without further ado, good people, without further ado, before I stop, because some of y'all are getting off, and I know we have lives, but we have a very, very special announcement for folks who stay on this call. I don't think I'm overplaying it. No, I'm not going to get Kamala Harris on this call. So if y'all came to see Kamala on this call today, no, that's not going to happen. I could have saved it to the end and not told you. Gina just left because I just said Kamala wasn't coming. But needless to say, y'all pop on because we got something even better for you. Ross, how you doing? This is America's favorite dancing meme, y'all. Not dancing queen, dancing meme. How are you?
I'm doing great, Deidre. Thank you. State Representative Ross Wilburn from Ames, and joining you from Granger, Iowa at Iowa House Fundraising Ice Cream Social, about 50 yards over that way. So thanks, Deidre. Thanks, Joshua. And Bakari, thank you so much for sharing your story. All of you have those type of moving stories to share, because it's time to step up to defend our constitutional freedoms. And Kamala Harris was inspired to step up for the people, to tackle injustice in county courtrooms, the California Attorney General's office, the United States Senate, and she answered the call when President Biden asked her to serve in the White House as vice president. And now she's running for president of the United States to continue protecting our freedoms, delivering justice and expanding opportunities so that every American can get ahead, not just get by. Now, this fits perfectly with our Iowa House Democrats' people over politics agenda to lower costs, protect reproductive freedom, public dollars for public education at all levels, good union jobs, and on for everyone. So how can our contributions tonight make a difference? It's already been said. Those donations will go to the Harris Victory Fund and the Iowa Democratic Party federal account to fund grassroots organizing efforts in underperforming areas across Iowa. So look, with less than 92 days left until Election Day, it's crunch time. Every dollar you can give, door you can knock on, conversation and story you can share and have with friends and neighbors to invite them to join with us. And as Kamala might say, to lift all of our voices. We're the ones we've been waiting for. So let's not wait. Please keep donating what you can tonight to help elect Kamala Harris as president, to move our communities and create opportunities for all of us, not just the wealthy few. So thank you all for stepping up to be here tonight. Let's go.
Awesome, awesome. Next, we have one of Iowa's favorite celebrities. You all know him as a t-shirt guy, a Van Meter graduate who decided to become an entrepreneur, after spending all the money at Penn, came back to Iowa to give back to our community, and he enlightens us, whether he's in the room or not. The infamous Mike Draper. Mike, how you doing? Hold on. There you go. There you go.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
unmuted
sorry.
now.
I'm in the nicest laundry room in my parents' house. I'm on like my one vacation of the year with my family, but this was important enough for me to get permission to leave. And at the start of this meeting, I had really nice natural northern light, and now it gets darker and darker and darker. So I'm not up to anything nefarious. It's just where I am. I do talk a lot, which is why I'm like timing myself so we can stay only 20 minutes behind schedule. In the world of humor, they always say that there's like nothing worse when people think something is funny but don't actually laugh. You're out there and you deliver a joke to a whole room of people, and if they all think it's funny but don't laugh out loud, it doesn't really have the same effect as it does as when one person laughs, then another person laughs, and you're actually laughing so much harder when you see something collectively and it inspires the person who's speaking. And so one of the reasons that I make t-shirts is because I'm not qualified to do anything else. But then the other reason I make t-shirts is that I like being a cheerleader for the community. It is great for us to be that place that amplifies something. So whether, when you walk in, whether it's something about reproductive rights, trans rights, football, ranch dressing, the weather, you mix all of it together. You want people to come in and kind of see a reflection of the community around them. And so we have put out the Iowa for Kamala signs, we have shirts, we have buttons, we have stickers. All of this stuff is online now for like a limited-ish time, I think, we'll see. And it's raising money for local fundraising to get Kamala Harris elected, but also local organizing to get everybody down ballot elected. As much as I care about America as a whole, which I do, I was born only 6 blocks from my store. So geographically, I have not come very far in life. When I was first born, where the store was a parking lot. And it's only a building now because of something I saw, something I started that people joined me in with, that the community supported. I view everything I do at the store as like paying down a debt to the community that has like raised me, from schools to family to friends, everything. It is impossible to do any of this stuff together. And so I also kind of refuse to believe that Iowa is now out in the wilderness. I have seen amazing things happen out of Iowa in just the last 20 years, not even my entire lifetime. And so it's not one of those, the best days are behind us. This is one of those turning points that we should really lean into. And anything we can do, we will. So we will have not only Harris merchandise in the store, but we have everything from QR codes on buttons and stickers to help tell people how to register, to tell people to get involved. And anything you can do to be that laughter in the room to make other people laugh is going to be helpful. It seems simple, but one of the heartening things I read was when things were stressful, in Obama's world when he was in the White House, he used to say to Rahm Emanuel that his dream job was to one day leave the White House and start a t-shirt stand in Hawaii. So that is how unbelievable t-shirts are. I'm Barack Obama, inspired to be where I am. That's what keeps me going. Anyway, that's been 3 minutes. You can go online to order the stuff. It will be shipped to you in the next few-ish days. You'll have it before the end of next week. You can put signs out, buttons out, stickers, shirts. We'll have it in the stores. And we are happy, really happy to support, really happy to see everybody who's out here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mike. So he low-key buried the lead, y'all, but literally this man has created an Iowa for Kamala collection on his site. So text your friends, text your family members, text everybody who wants to get Iowa for Kamala gear, and some yard signs that say Iowa for Kamala, and yard signs that say, what do they say, Mike?
We have the campaign logo on there. So there's Harris 2024. We have all of them. Anything you can want.
Awesome. And all of those proceeds stay in the state so we can organize. So we're super, super excited about that opportunity. And thank you for your generosity. Mike, not everybody with a business wants to put their business out there as it relates to how their politics are. but obviously it's in your favor.
Yeah.
Cool beans. We appreciate you. Next. This woman does not need anybody's introduction by any stretch of the imagination. She is a force to be reckoned with, a Drake Bulldog. But more importantly, she's an Iowan who truly cares about her community. She left for a little bit and then decided she was going to come back. You all know her as our leader, our minority leader, Representative Jennifer Converse. Jennifer, how you doing today?
Of course, I'm amazing because this is amazing, right? This is so much fun. This is such great energy. This is exactly what we need and what we have needed for a few months. This is so exciting and so thrilling. You know, I am thrilled to be here. I could go on and on about all of the amazing things about Kamala Harris, but I want to talk for a moment about an issue that's really personal to me and to all of us, I think, and that is about the hope of regaining reproductive freedom in this state because of Kamala Harris. And, you know, I want to thank Maisie for including me and inviting me to be on this call because this is an issue that is core to our future. Iowa's elections this year will be about abortion and public education. We've had Josh Brown on this to talk about how important this is. What a beautiful Venn diagram we are seeing with Kamala Harris as such a fighter and reproductive freedom advocate. You know, when a lot of folks had forgotten about Iowa, Kamala Harris showed up. She was here last summer. And she talked about reproductive freedom and the importance of it. When we had a special session, the vice president showed up in Iowa to say, we have to stop this extremism. We have to stop this nonsense. And I got the chance to talk with her there. And she is committed to this, my friend. She is committed to this because of how she's lived her life and the work she's done. Nothing could be better for the amazing people running for the Iowa House of Representatives than to have a fierce champion for reproductive freedom at the top of the ticket. We had that in Joe Biden, but now we have it even more personally from Kamala Harris. And so I'm so grateful that she's willing to speak out. She's willing to advocate. And every door you knock for Kamala Harris is a door you're knocking for Tiara Mae Sims in Johnston. Every door you knock for Heather Sievers or Laura Snyder is a door you're knocking for Kamala Harris and Lanon Bakam. We have to do this together as a party. We have to get there together. We are united. We are working together in ways I haven't seen before. But my friends, let me tell you this. We have fewer rights in the state because of Republicans at the state legislature. And it will be fixed if we all come out and vote for a national reproductive freedom champion and reproductive freedom champions at the local level. We have 81 people running for the Iowa House. That's a pretty good number when you got 99 counties and a lot of them are red. We're going to fix this state step by step. And I have not felt this energized about our ticket and about this purple state. We are a purple state.
We are.
Before, I have not felt this energized in a long time. And I think that's because of the vice president's advocacy and fight for our rights and to make Iowa women equal again. So I'm thrilled to be here. That's 2 minutes. Thank you, everybody, so much for having me.
Thank you, Representative Converse. Thank you for always showing up, always when you're needed and there just to lift a hand to us. So we definitely appreciate your service and keep keeping on. We appreciate you. Cool beans. We're going to keep moving this program. Now we've got a couple of words from our county chairs. Folks, our county chairs have been working incredibly hard these last several years. If you know a county chair, if you've witnessed a county chair, they have been operating in some of the most challenging times that I've seen in our state related to organizing. And they're doing it because they love this state and they're committed to this cause. But I can tell you the person who's on right now believes in freedom, and she believes in freedom in a way that's very, very personal. Ms. Vicky is not only the Black Hawk County chair, but she was also born in Alabama. And for those who may not know this, you might be familiar with the 16th Street Baptist Church massacre that happened, where little girls lost their lives. Well, one of those little girls was a friend of Miss Vicky. She often tells people that she became a freedom rider at the tender age of 5 or 6 years old because she had no choice. There was mere desperation for her to get involved. And so now she's here to talk to us really quickly about how important it is to organize all across our state, especially in places like Black Hawk County.
Thank you so much, Deirdre, for that great introduction. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that I'm really excited to be joined by so many great speakers right now. And I'm also really thrilled to be here with so many wonderful supporters. And all of you supporters, don't forget, iowaforharris.com, okay? That's for us, iowaforharris.com. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Okay. So we're still raising funds right now. But I just want to say that we're standing at a momentous time in our nation's history. And Deirdre gave you a little bit of my history and what I went through. It was actually at the age of 11.
11.
That I experienced some tragic things that happened. I'm still traumatized by those things, all because people wanted rights, civil rights. They wanted to vote. Their voting rights are at the detriment right now. So we're standing, like I said, in a momentous time in our nation's history. And this enthusiasm for our Vice President, Kamala Harris, is clear across the country. With just less than 90 days, our mission is clear. We've got to elect Kamala as the next president of the United States. We've got to safeguard our American freedom. I personally support President Harris because she embodies integrity, resilience, and relentless commitment to justice. You know, from her early days as a prosecutor to her tenure as vice president, she's consistently fought for justice, equality, and the well-being of every American. She has championed criminal justice reform, healthcare access for all, and climate change efforts. And also her leadership during the COVID epidemic, it ensured millions of Americans received the support that they needed. Kamala Harris, she's not just a candidate, she is a champion for the people. And in time when reproductive rights are under attack, Vice President Harris's commitment to protecting and expanding women's rights is crucial, especially given the recent legislation here in Iowa. So today, increasing voter turnout is very crucial, especially in counties like Black Hawk County. High turnout means more voices are heard as we strengthen our democracy. So by mobilizing every eligible voter, we can ensure that our values reflect in our leadership. So as we look ahead to 2024, we must rally behind Vice President Harris because she has the vision, she has the experience, and she has the heart to guide us toward a more and just and equitable future. So Iowans, let's get out there, let's educate our neighbors, let's inspire our friends, and let's make sure that everyone understands the importance of this election. Let us stand together in support of Kamala Harris for president, and let us work to ensure her vision for America. Make certain that it becomes a reality. Together, we will continue to make her story, as we help to make certain that Vice President Kamala Harris becomes the 47th president of these United States. And once and for all, let's finally break that glass ceiling.
Yes, ma'am.
And as we approach the 2024 election, let's rally behind President I said it, President Harris. Let's rally behind Vice President Harris. Like I said, she has the vision, the experience, and heart for just and equitable future. So Iowans, let's get out there. Let's educate our neighbors. Let's inspire our friends about this election. Let's stand together in support of Kamala Harris for president and to make her vision for America a reality. I do realize that there may be some people on this call that's not from Iowa. You also are welcome to go to iowaforharris.com. You're also welcome to go to kamalaharris.com. There's so many things that you can do. You can knock on doors. You can donate. You can there's a seat at the table. It's a big table. It's big enough for all of us, okay? So do that. And together we will make history by helping Vice President Kamala Harris become the 47th president of the United States and finally break that glass ceiling. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vicki. You are an incredible force. We love you. You are so dedicated to this cause, and we're so grateful that you came up here to Iowa to be with us and left Alabama. So
That's
appreciate
right.
you all. If you all want to knock doors in Waterloo and get engaged in Waterloo, they need your help. Please connect with Miss Vicky. But like we said, we'll also make sure that we connect you all with our county chairs across the state, because this is an incredible work that's happening right now. We also have another county chair from Johnson County. We've got Ed Cranston on the line. He's been working on a project in the First D and in Johnson. Tell us about what you've been doing, Ed.
Hey, thank you, Deidre. Great to be on. And yeah, good evening, Iowa Democrats. I'm Ed Cranston, Johnson County Democratic Party Chair, and we do have a plan. And really this, our motto this last year was no off years.
Yeah,
really
say it one more time, Ed. Say it one more time.
Yeah, no off years. So what we did is we worked all year, working, hitting the doors on a listening tour. And it was very successful. In fact, I want to thank Zach Walls for all your help with that and everything you're doing with the county. The Johnson County, we have an overall goal here. And this past year and a half, that what we've been doing is working to make Johnson County the bluest we've ever been, just to help make Iowa even more purple. And really important part about that is that we've been partnering with other counties, and we've been sharing our plan with those other counties. So here in Johnson County, this last year and a half, we've knocked on thousands of doors. We've been listening to folks. It's been our listening campaign to reach undecided voters. And we will use that collected data when we influence our messaging and our targeting across multiple media and social media platforms. It's really there to help all the candidates in all the areas, including all the rural areas, the underrepresented groups, the folks in the inaccessible apartment complexes. Students are coming back to campus now, and we have now focused on registration since they have all new addresses typically. So in September, we're going to organize house parties across the county to recruit volunteers. In October and November, we're going to focus on personal contact with voters. And during the last weekend of July, we knocked over 1,500 doors, which is 8 times the doors we did last month for that similar weekend. Our goal for the end of August is to double that with 100 volunteers out there knocking doors. So we know that there is a significant number of undecided voters, and it's vital that we get the message about all of our candidates up and down the ticket to those voters now and before the Republicans can get a chance to define them. This is why we're out knocking doors this week, next week, and every week until the election. So now with the excitement of Kamala Harris, what she's brought to the campaign, we are pleased that more Democrats are reaching out to us and to see if they can help in some way. So in Johnson County, we are pumped to execute our plan, and we are in it all the way with all of you. And together, we can all get the job done. So let's go Democrats.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ed. We appreciate you taking time. If you all were listening to Ed, he gave you what Johnson County's blueprint looks like. If you want a blueprint in your own community, in your own precinct, you don't have to wait for anybody to organize, because Ed didn't wait for anybody. They got to it with their team. And so if you're interested in learning what their program looks like, please reach out to him. It's something that you can start in your own respective communities. Doesn't have to be for the whole district, doesn't even have to be for the whole county. It could just be for the whole block. And he's got a plan that could totally work for you. That's why we had him on. So thank you so much, Ed. We really appreciate all the work that y'all are doing in the district and in the county. We so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from one of our young people's voices, Akshara. She just graduated, folks, from high school at Johnson. And don't hate on her, Zach. When I say this, you better be kind to her. But she is going to go to University of Michigan in a couple of weeks to make Iowa proud. Akshara, thank you so much for being a part of the chat today. You all might know her from March for Our Lives and other work that she's done throughout the community, but she is a force to be reckoned with. And while we're loaning her to Michigan for a little bit, she's still voting in Iowa. I'm gonna give her the floor.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. So like Deidre said, my name is Akshara. I was the executive director of March for Our Lives Iowa, but since I graduated, I'm now a spokesperson for March for Our Lives National. I grew up going to Johnston from my fourth grade year all until senior year this year when I graduated. I joined March for Our Lives as a freshman in high school, which was a couple years after the Parkland shooting in 2020. And I've been part of the gun violence prevention movement pretty much ever since. And in the past few years, I've spent a lot of time at the Capitol with my team lobbying for common sense gun legislation or just anti-gun legislation in general. And pretty much the resounding answer that I was hearing from all of the legislators that we were talking to was that they were not willing to pass any of the proposed legislation that we had or any common sense gun legislation at all. And like Deidre said, I am leaving in a couple of weeks to Ann Arbor for college. But I am registered as an Iowan, and I will be voting this election for the first time as an Iowan. So I want to make sure that all of my elected officials at the state level and a national level are ready to have the courage to come out and vote and get that legislation out for common sense gun laws. And I know that Kamala Harris is one such candidate who has been advocating for gun violence prevention since before she took office in the White House. She supports an assault weapons ban. She helped establish the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. She supports red flag laws and so much more. And I want my elected officials to have proactive solutions to this epidemic. And another candidate I'd like to highlight as a Johnston grad is Miss Tiara Mae Sims. As a young woman of color and an Indian American, I want someone like Tiara in office to speak for the younger voices in Iowa. I know that as a House representative, she will do absolute wonders for legislation in our state. Young people are truly our future in this country, and candidates like Kamala and Tiara and several others that are running will ensure that the youth is heard. I'm so proud and I'm so excited to vote in my first election in November. And I urge you all to go out, door knock, go vote, get out that vote, get out the word that Miss Kamala Harris is going to be president until 2028. So thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you, Akshara. You know, have all the fun you can because it's about to go down in a few weeks for you with school and with election season. But we so love you and we so appreciate you. You mentioned Tiara Mae Sims. She's on the call right now as a candidate. We have other candidates that are on the call right now that I just wanted to highlight. We got Sarah Corkery out of the 2nd District running for Congress there. We also have Representative Akeo Abdul Samad, Janice Weiner. We also had Bill Brock, Polk County Chair, former Representative, former Congressman Dave Loebsack was on the line. We so appreciate our electeds popping on and being a part of this call. And if I missed any names, just send me a message. Oh, we also have Marty Anderson. I saw Marty. Thank you so much for popping on this call. Many of our electeds have been out knocking doors. I talked to Lindsay James today. She said, you know what, I'm going to try to hop on this call in and out, but I got doors to knock. So we've got a lot of committed individuals who are out here doing the good work while we're sitting here talking about it and raising money for it. Zach, you got a fundraising update for us.
$25,000 is in our rear view mirror. I want to give everybody on this call just the biggest applause. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. While our next two speakers are talking, I'm going to go do a little bit of back of the envelope math to try and figure out how much money what the equivalent of that is with the national audience compared to just Iowa. So I'm going to go do a little bit of math, but I'm so proud, I'm so grateful, and so fired up to elect Kamala Harris, President of the United States, and flip the United States House of Representatives.
Awesome. Okay, you go back and do that. I also want to just acknowledge one quick thing, folks. So when we're talking about grassroots support, you know, obviously we want Vice President Harris to be the next president of the United States. But as so many have said in their own way in this call, we also got to make sure that we sweep around our own back door. We also have to make sure, which means we elect people within our state. And so we've got some incredible people running for office. We've got Christina Bohannon in the 1st district. We've got Lanon Bakam in the 3rd district. We've got Ryan Melton in the 4th district. We've got Democrats up and down the ballot when it comes down to our state house seats and our legislative seats. You heard Jennifer say we have nearly 90 people running in the legislature. That is a big deal, a big deal. If you're like, I don't know what that means, I'm just telling you, it's a big deal. The more people you have running in these elections, the more people are connected to folks who are running. And so without further ado, though, I'd like to introduce you to one of our Northeastern Cowboys. He is also one of our county chairs out of Dubuque, the northeastern side of the state. Matt Robinson, how you doing? Uh-oh, Sarah said county chair of the year.
There we go. Okay, I'm unmuted. I wasn't able to unmute myself. Thanks for whoever did that. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a great call. This has been so exciting, so energizing. Yes, some of you might know me. I did not wear the hat tonight. I am that cowboy from Dubuque County. I didn't think it'd go well on Zoom. But I am currently the chairman of the Dubuque County Democratic Party. I am also a union carpenter, proud union carpenter. So I'm going to take one quick second to promote the Biden-Harris administration for furthering infrastructure in the United States and making sure that union jobs are protected. I'm proud to support Vice President Harris because I know that she's going to push to get the PRO Act passed, and she's going to fight for my job, and she's going to fight for all of our jobs. We all move together at that point. But now I want to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing up in Dubuque County, because we know that we all have to go together. It's not just about getting Kamala Harris elected. It is. That's going to be a great thing to do. But we have to go from the courthouse to the White House. We build democratic power across this state, in Dubuque County, and across this country. So what we've been doing is targeting inactive voters. We have 6,600 inactive registered Democratic voters in Dubuque County. We've been out on their doors since last year. This has been an 18-month program. We have knocked thousands of doors. We have issue-based conversations with people. We let them lead the conversation. We let them tell us what's important to them. And then we let them know that Democrats are out there fighting for them. Because I'll tell you what, I am so excited. I know I got Representative James. It's getting dark. She's probably not on the doors anymore. But I know she called in while she was out knocking doors tonight. We got folks out all over the place. This is the best way to get involved. If you want to help, the donations are great. This is amazing to raise $2,500, but reach out to your county party. Reach out to your county party chair. Reach out to your local elected officials and candidates and get on the doors for them. Get on the phones for them. Contact your friends and neighbors. Let them know what's happening in this party, because I'm excited that we are going to elect Kamala Harris to the presidency. We are going to gain power in this state because you know what? Minority Leader Converse doesn't sound good to me. I think sounds much better. So we're going to elect some of these great representatives because when we get out and do this work, we go up and down the ballot. We are going to work up and down that ballot, and we're all going to rise to the top. So we got to burn that shoe leather. We got to get out on the streets. We got to talk to everyone that we can. And I'm already over my time, so I'm going to end it at that. It's going to be hard work, folks, but it's worth it. So let's get out there and get this thing done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Matt. And I know you weren't paying attention to the chat because you were deep in thought, but everybody's, I mean, the hat's your brand. You had to bring it. It's almost like your child at this point in time. You got to bring it to the party. I never seen you without a hat on before, to be honest. But we thank you for being a part of this chat today. And tell Lindsay we said hi. We love her to death. And Pam. Cool beans. All right. So next we have Rob Johnson. Trey pretty much gave his intro at the beginning of this and talking about meeting Rob at IHOP. I wanted to say, did he order a pancake? Because I'm sure he ordered a pancake. But Rob Johnson, you all have known to be engaged in Democratic politics in the state, a Drake grad, and is now running in House District 40, or excuse me, 34, House District 34, currently held by Representative Akeo Abdul Samad. And so we're super excited to have Rob on and chatting about the importance of really engaging in some of our underrepresented, underperforming precincts and the impact that could have on this election cycle. Because when I finished my race in 2022, folks told me that we had to wait another 10 years for us to see the tide turn. But I think we just got delivered a blessing. Rob, what do you think?
Man, not only did we get delivered a blessing, but we are ready to deliver the six. I need everybody in this chat right now to put in the chat, deliver the six. That is the 6 electoral votes that Iowa can carry. I know it feels like, oh man, that seems so far-fetched. But ladies and gentlemen, it is not far-fetched. It is something that we can all do. We have done it before, and we can deliver the six. Let's bring this thing on home. Yes, I'm on the ballot. So who's at the top of the ticket really matters to me on exactly how we're going to engage voters. I've been out door knocking, and every time I knock on somebody's door, every time I get a chance to engage with a voter, every single time I have an opportunity to hear their concerns and to hear what is on their mind, people are always talking about what you've heard on this call. You've heard about our reproductive freedom. You've heard about what's going on in our healthcare. You've heard about what's going on in our education system. But another piece that people are talking about on the doors is that mental health piece. We have to make sure that we are bringing home that mental health piece. And when you elect Democrats, you are electing people who believe not in just what we're talking about, but in delivering how we're going to do it to our people. I'll close with this, Deidre, because you know I can get long-winded. I'll close with this. Helen Todd in 1912, they were at the peak of their women's movement, fighting for their labor union rights. They were fighting for women to have their labor union rights in 1912. And then Helen Todd decided that she was going to lead a protest one day. And while speaking to a room full of those who are ready to protest and fight, she said these words. She said, "Give us bread, but give us roses too." She said, "Give us bread, but give us roses too." What she was saying in that moment was, pay me what you owe me. Give me what I deserve and pay us what we deserve to be paid. But she was also saying in that moment, when you do it by doing it with our dignity. Don't take away our dignity and what we have going on. And that's the same message that we're carrying here in Iowa. Not only are we going to deliver the six and flip Iowa blue, but we're also going to give us bread, and we're going to do it by giving roses too. When you elect state representatives, state senators, when you put in supervisors, when you put in city council members, when you put in school board members and mayors of those who are fighting about people over politics, you are telling them, give us bread, but give us roses too. So I end with this. Yes, we can door knock. Yes, we can raise money. But I need you to talk to your neighbor. I need you to talk to your friend. And I need you to talk to your family who has said that maybe sitting this one out is an option. Let them know and remind them it is not. Our freedom is on the line. And let's go do this, Iowa.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob. Thank you for all the hard work that you're putting in, and, you know, even knocking doors, knowing that your race isn't going to be as challenging as some others in the state, but staying committed to putting people over the politics. So you're definitely embodying that. Appreciate your time. All right, Zach, you got a last fundraising update for us, folks. We're almost done with this call. It's Zach, and then it's me, and then it's the rest of your evening. Okay?
I sure do, Deidre. So we are currently at $25,971.47. And if you take that and you extrapolate it out to the country, so you get how big Iowa is compared to how big the United States is. If you look at Iowa, just punching at our weight, that's the American equivalent of having 72,843 people raise $2.6 million. That is just an absolutely incredible achievement. I want to say thank you to everybody on here. We peaked at just over 700 folks live, and with $26,000 raised, that's about an average donation of $35. $35. We had well over 300 donations tonight, so more than half the folks who were here who were here donated. Mike, I cannot wait to hear how many signs and shirts got ordered and to see those all over our great state. From the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to all of you who answered the call, who decided to take some time out of your Monday night to be here, to show up, to hear these great speakers, to hear about all of the exciting work happening over the state, and to recommit to the work of delivering the 6, flipping the House, and electing President Kamala Harris.
Awesome. Thank you, Senator Walz, for just your geekiness around this. I want to tell y'all, so there's the few that are left on this call. And so you're going to get a treat. You're going to get some tea from me. But before I give you some tea, I just want to humbly thank everybody who was a part of the planning process in this call. It was not an easy thing to do, but y'all pulled it together relatively quickly. And you were bold enough to get a lot of your friends to join us in this process. And so, again, Maisie, Morgan, CJ, Ross, Senator Walz, and Party Zach, we really, really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. But I want to close with this, good people. Well, hold on. Before I close, good news. Guess who our favorite t-shirt owner is going to do? T-shirt store owner is going to do. He's going to keep the store open for us, y'all. He's going to keep the store open for us. And guess what else he's going to do? He's going to sell the stuff in his store, folks. So for folks who aren't buying online, they'll be able to walk into Raygun and purchase our merch, and the resources go to grassroots efforts. And so he's calling it the coconut section. You are so extra, Raygun. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. So this is where I'm at. Many of you all know that I've taken a little bit of a hiatus in politics, in most things in life over the last year and a half. I committed about 9 to 10 years of doing back-to-back races and engaging in politics in ways that I never would have dreamt I would have been able to, but I did it. And it was an incredible dream and some work that I've learned so much from. But most would think after my 2022 race and running for governor and the challenges that existed with this race, we're not going through that in this call, but most would think that a person like me would take a step back. Most would think that a person like me would throw their hands up and just choose another walk of life. Most would think that I would just be too tired to engage. I chose the opposite, though. And the reason why I chose the opposite, the reason why I decided to continue to get involved, maybe not at the same level and capacity as you all had seen me in the past, but the reason why I did not turn my back on the state, the reason why I have not turned my back on this country is because I know that my life and your life depends on our eyes being forward. Our future is so strong, so powerful, and it is covered with every bit of life, liberty, and happiness that we could all dream. But unfortunately, we got to have workers that are clearing the pathway so that future is accessible to not just a select few of Americans, but so that future is accessible to everyone. Typically, when we talk about freedom, when we talk about future and elections, it's just words. But literally, everybody in this moment understands what's at stake in this election cycle. And if there is anything that can be done to recalibrate this state, it is the work of the people on this call and the work of the people in this state that can make it happen. I am completely and utterly convinced that we have what it takes. When Rob says deliver the 6, that was my first inclination when I found out that the president was stepping down in his nomination status, and he was acknowledging the vice president. I knew at that point in time we had to deliver this for our state. And so if there is any goal that you all can keep in mind, as Representative Compers said earlier, we're purple. We're no other color other than purple at this point in time in our lives. In fact, no color matters. What matters at this point in time is our freedom. And we have to make sure that we put every bit of work into fighting for our freedoms in this election cycle. So thank you all so much for hopping on this call. Thank you for consistently staying with us. We'll be sending you emails, not a whole lot. We're not sending you all them fundraising emails, but we'll send you some emails so that you can stay in the loop and keep understanding what's happening in your community. Stay connected to people. Don't stay out of this fight. Stay in it. We literally need you in it. Our lives depend on it. Thanks for joining us. Y'all take care. We're gonna keep working. Someone said Iowa's worth the work.